YouTube and the internet has long since been a place for gearheads to come together and check out junkyard finds, barn finds, the coolest builds, the craziest wrecks, street races, you name it. But the common denominator is the camaraderie. It's the cars. It's something that unites people from all different backgrounds. And that's the beauty of it. That's what I love, is that cars bring people together. My name is Matt Willer, and welcome to Revtec. Today, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about myself. I'm going to bring you into my garage and share with you a bit more about my car collection. So welcome to Revtec. Revtec is an auto parts company for enthusiasts of all different backgrounds. So join us together on this journey and enjoy the ride. All right, so the Mustang has a soft spot in my heart because this goes back to where it all started when I was 16 years old. Leading up to the time where I'm gonna get my first car, the deal that I had with my father was that he would match whatever amount that I could save from my summer jobs and other work up to a maximum of $20,000. So by way of that, he was willing to cough up at least 10 grand. Now, I was not able to save a full 10,000. I was pretty proud of myself getting to 6,500. So that meant I had $13,000 to spend on a car. I had grown up with an uncle with a Corvette. I already knew I wanted something fast and cool, but $13,000 wasn't gonna move the needle into some of the stuff that I liked. This is like late 80s into the early 90s. There is no internet. There's really nothing. It's magazines, it's the Auto Trader, it's photo ads. So I'd pick up the freebies and I'd look through them. My dad would drive me all over Southern California on the weekends looking at these things. And then we ended up at a dealership and we were super fortunate. It was actually called Peyton Kramer Ford in Torrance, California. But while we were there, maybe it was the day before, an older lady had turned in a Fox body Mustang, but it was a lady that turned it in off a 2-year lease. So it was super lightly used and exactly $13,000. At least that's what we ended up paying for it. I was black, 5.0 GT Mustang. I got that thing home and I loved it. That was chapter one. What my dad didn't realize is that I was just getting started. I looked at every car magazine. I had the J.C. Whitney catalogs. I got the first generation chips to mess with the computer. I tore that car apart. I put it back together. I had every $100 add-on part I could ever get involved with. Every weekend, he would take me down to Brotherhood Raceway in San Pedro, California, and for 10 bucks, you could run just as an everyday dude. I would spend my whole weekends down there running that car. I had a blast, and that's really what gave me the sickness that I have and love. So that's the passion for cars, of course. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the 91 Fox body anymore, but that's in my DNA. And so enter the 1966 first generation body style, but with the recent generation power plant. So what you're looking at here is a 5-liter Coyote engine from Ford Racing, which you're gonna see in the modern Mustangs, right? Badass cold air intake. And this thing is gonna be a lot of show and a lot of go. So if I'm sitting at a stoplight and some dude in a Corvette thinks that I'm just out getting donuts for my kids or grandkids, we're gonna smoke them off the line. But it doesn't look like it because it's just a very subtle cruiser type of exterior. Kept this thing kind of clean. There's a lot of kind of old and new feel. We went with the T56 transmission. So those guys that are in the car business, you know, this is just a badass 6-speed manual. So we went with the T56. I like the gauge cluster here because it's got the analog nostalgic feel, but with some modern kind of appointments that I like. But it still kept the classic vintage look. I did upgrade to a more modern look and feel on the aux. I've got a backup camera that candidly is better than modern cars that I have. You know, we went with the high quality TMI interior, which any classic car restoration, you guys know that this is kind of plug and play for some of the, especially first gen cars, which is nice. And then of course, Willwood brakes, etc., on all 4 corners. So this one is just a real fun, but also badass cruiser. Right now we've got a mild electrical issue that we're sorting out. We're gonna take it down to our friends at Cars Remember When here in Colorado, and we're gonna get it ready for the season. So stay tuned, check back. We're gonna have a lot of fun with this car together. But that is my 1966 Coyote Swap Mustang drop top. So in college, I had a 1996 Ford Bronco, which at the time was the last generation until they brought out the new one. Now that was not this Bronco. The Bronco that I had in college, unfortunately, I had it lifted 4 inches, and when I went into my senior year apartment parking garage, it shaved the roof off. That actually led to my second Mustang, which is was a 2001 4.6 liter. It wasn't the best Mustang that they ever made, but nonetheless, that's the story. So when I kind of got back into my, car addiction after my kids started going to college, I got another Bronco. Now this actually is not the same Bronco, of course, but this is the same generation. This is a 1995, so 1 year earlier, but it also does have the same 5.8 liter 351 that my college one did. The 5.0 liter doesn't have enough guts in this big of a car, in my opinion. So this one, all I've done is I've lifted it 4 inches. We've got some mutters and rims on it. I've replaced the head unit, but this thing is just getting ready to have some fun work done to it. So we're gonna replace the engine at some point and do some other fun modifications. So we hope you join us for that journey. So after I ripped the roof off of my Bronco in college, then I ended up with what I think was one of the lousiest Mustangs. It was still fun, but then graduated from USC, and quickly thereafter I got married to my wife and we moved to Huntington Beach, California. So ended up getting rid of the lousy Mustang and got into a 2004 GT drop top, but it was brief because then all of a sudden my wife got pregnant with our first child. So all of a sudden it was time to get rid of the convertible Mustang because I was gonna become a family man, but this was like slamming the door on a chapter of my life where I had driven only super fast cars. So I realized there was another alternative, and that's ultra fast SUVs, but I had to be able to accommodate ultimately 3 car seats. So that's ended up being exactly what I did. And so for the last 18 years, super fast SUVs is what's been scratching my itch. So what we're looking at here, this is actually the 2025 Mercedes AMG GLE 63S. So if it's bone stock, this is a twin turbo V8 engine that makes 603 horsepower. I've gone ahead and upgraded it with an ECU and transmission tune. So it'll get up and go, and it's all-wheel drive. One thing that a lot of people don't know is up here in Denver, and I'm even further elevation than Denver, we're at about 6,000 feet. So arguably you lose 10, 15, even more horsepower vis-a-vis running at sea level. So the Denver car game is super strong because people overcompensate for horsepower given what we lose in altitude. So I did mention this is a 2025 Mercedes, so it's obviously under warranty. I think I've got about 13,000 miles on this. And so it would put it out of warranty to mess around with ECU and transmission tune. So before I get my oil changes or servicing, I got to flash it back to factory settings. And that's why I keep this with me at all given times. So before I go in, I can flash it back to factory settings. Then I just bring it back up to my performance shop. They'll bring it back up to the tune that we have in place right now. In 2018, when Dodge came back with the Demon, this is at a perfect time for me because my kids were growing up, started to go to college. So I just had to have this. This brought back all the muscle car from my childhood. So in 2018, they came out with the Dodge Demon, bone stock with 808 horsepower at the crank. And that's what we're looking at here. Now, most of you, or some of you, know that my, what we call 9 to 5 is as an investment banker at an oil company that I'm a partner in by the name of Phoenix Energy. So there's a bit of symbolism here because while there is no such thing as a 9 to 5 at Phoenix Energy, we work 12 hours a day, 6.5 days a week. The fact is that we're a domestic oil company. And so as this transition into electric vehicles was happening, this kind of last call, big horsepower, beefy, modern muscle really just resonated with me. And I think that's evident when we get through my car collection. Many of you may know that I'm a 3rd generation USC Trojan, so that's kind of woven into a lot of the stuff that I do with my cars. And there's a story to everything that I do, but one thing that I really like is the custom door jambs that I had this done at Speed FX. They're a great local shop here in Denver. So this kind of weaves in my Trojan background. Now here's the backstory of why there's so much nostalgia for me and for USC. And I'll tell a story about this in much more detail in a future video. But my grandfather was actually the captain of the 1942 USC Trojans, and hanging on my wall in my office at Phoenix Energy is a picture of him being introduced by Babe Ruth, the historic baseball player at Town and Gown at USC, as the 1942 USC football captain. I went to USC. I'm a third generation USC Trojan. Both of my dad's brothers went there and played football as well. I didn't get the size, so I just went into finance. With the Dodge Demon, really everything that you get excited about is under the hood. And so let's take a look at this supercharged Hemi engine. Now this is again the 2018, and a couple things you can see here. Of course, the black is a wrap. You can see all of the specs actually right here. They give you the full factory specs. This of course is the 6.2 liter Dodge Demon engine, which can eat a Hellcat for breakfast. And that's actually forged right in. And this car we're still breaking in. It's got about 2,000 miles on it. So technically, you know, it's past the break-in period. But we don't want to get too rowdy with it until we get a few more miles on it. So we're breaking it in softly. We're going to take it down to MoFab to do some very custom exhaust and suspension work as we're building towards racing this down at Pueblo, which is the drag strip here, more in southern Colorado. Which brings me to the Demon crate. So alongside the 2018 Dodge Challenger Demon, comes a race crate. And of course, the Demon was built for one purpose, and that's to go fast, straight. It's a drag strip car. Now, the first thing is they only made technically 3,300 of these, 3,000 for the United States and another 300 for Canada. So on the 2018, I am Demon number 2,640. So when we open the crate, this is where all the goodies are. And this thing's heavy as hell too. This is your kind of drag pack box. You've got your hydraulic floor jack, of course, torque wrench, obviously the ability to adjust air pressure, some replacement parts and tools, and then the front tire donuts that you're gonna run at the drag strip. So the 2018 right now technically is bone stock, and it's going to go through a series of upgrades, including the exhaust. We're gonna strengthen the drive shaft. We're also doing some rear suspension work to get rid of some of that wheel hop and tire chatter. We're gonna build this 2018 Dodge Demon into the ultimate drag racing machine. This is the 2023 Dodge Demon 170, and there is definitely a story behind this car. So in roughly 2022, the SRT team over at Dodge decided to come back to the well one last time and build the Challenger Last Call Demon 170. And this, at the time, was the most horsepower that ever came off a factory line. 1,025 horsepower bone stock. Now we're obviously here in 2025. Now you've got the new Corvette ZR1 that's gonna supersede this, but this is just a bad vehicle. 2023. The reason that I like this car, besides it's the last call kind of nostalgia component of the Dodge lineup, is also because this was basically the birth of Revtec. The thing that I despise about these hollow e-commerce stores online is there's no personality. I don't even know who the people are behind it. I look where I used to buy some of my parts, and I'm sure it's owned by a private equity firm or some soulless corporation, but everyone that I know that likes cars is just a regular dude. So we want to build this stuff with you, build a community, tweak the cars, race the cars, modify the cars, etc. So this car, I mean, it's not brand new, obviously, because it's a 2023, but I have not really done anything at all. Right now, the car has under 100 miles. It's not even broken in. So the only modification, and it's not really even a modification, I've just dressed it up with a wrap. So we did exterior and interior. My guys over at Speed FX, they just knock it out of the park every single time. So you can obviously see the Revtec wrap here. And then, of course, going back to my USC roots, we had to do it again. So I've got my Southern Cal SC door jambs as a testament to my third generation heritage. So I like to adorn my cars with a little nostalgia. So this is obviously what you're paying for. This is the under the hood of the 2023 Dodge Demon 170. And this, of course, again, badged from the factory, 6.2 liter high output. Of course, this has got a larger supercharger than my other Demon, which is the 2018, which makes 808 horsepower bone stock. So a little bit bigger supercharger, massive air you need, right? So this huge cold air intake we've got to feed the breathing demon of this supercharger that they put on here. And of course, it's got the actual forged emblem right on top of the supercharger as well. You could eat off of this thing at the moment. This thing has like 95 miles on it. We're still in a very light break-in period as we decide what to really do with this thing over time. But you notice like they did some cool features with the cold air intake through the fog lights here. Those are kind of a forced air induction, again, to feed this with as much airflow as possible. So that's under the hood of the bone stock 2023 Demon, but stay with us. Obviously, we can't help but leave anything stock for long. So we'll push this along our journey alongside everything else and add some horsepower under the hood and have some fun with it. All right, here we have the Brothers Camaro. So 2 first-gen Camaros, and for those of you who don't know, the first generation of the Chevrolet Camaro was 1967, 68, and 1969. So we're going to tell you the story on both of these in just a minute, but this is the older brother, the 1968 SS drop top, and the younger brother, the 1969 Camaro SS hardtop. So this is the 1968 Chevrolet Camaro drop top, which I call the big brother since I've got the 68 and the 69. Now, a lot of my cars have been restored and modified, or resto mod, of course, is the term of art used. And primarily, you see a lot of engine swaps. And so what we did here is we took an LT1 engine out of a 1990s kind of generation Corvette. You can actually still see the Corvette logo embossed in there, and traded it out. And so this is obviously producing more like 400 horsepower up from just about 200 or slightly under in the stock motor that it came with. Obviously, we've introduced things like power steering as well, but it's just a beautiful engine. There's a lot of room left in this bay. So at some point we could upgrade it with something with a little more horsepower. But this is the cruiser. This is the one that's fun. You're gonna get the hang loose. You're not gonna win any races, but man, this is just an absolute looker. So the thing I love about the 68 Camaro is I just didn't mess with much in here. I mean, you can see a lot of the original gauges, you know, the old school chrome look and feel on your lights and your wipers, which actually all work. You have your vintage air. We did end up putting in a Bluetooth stereo because, you know, I have kids and whatnot, so they can't possibly go without some sort of Bluetooth device. But everything else was kind of kept in the spirit of the original 68. You know, this is just kind of your standard vinyl interior. We kept the original kind of look and feel with all of our door handles and accoutrements throughout. Really kind of the nostalgia that I like about this thing. There wasn't necessary to do anything more because it was such a beautiful car to begin with. Take a look under the hood of the 1969 Camaro. I like to call this one my silver bullet. So we call this the younger brother, right? Because the 68 drop top, that's got the LT1. This has an LT4. Now the LT4, there's a lot of storyline here because this is a 650 horsepower supercharged engine. And if it looks familiar, you've seen it in the Z06 Corvette going back about 6-7 years. And then you've also seen it in the Camaro ZL1. So the storyline behind this, you've got a first generation Camaro. This is a 1969 SS hardtop. And then they discontinued the Camaro altogether in 2024. So it's no longer. And the last power plant that they had was this exact LT4 engine in the ZL1. So this car, I will never sell. I love it. It's so fun to drive. It rips. It's beautiful. But the thesis was that it should always be of considerable value because you have first generation body, last generation power plant. So inside the 1969, we really kind of redid everything. So you've got the gauge panel here that's still analog, which I really like. There's a carbon fiber overlay in kind of the back here. So that's just kind of those subtle things that I like. Nice stitching on the dash. We put in a very modern, this will blow colder than my AMG in terms of the quality of the air conditioning. Nice pedals that we put in, full TMI interior, suede with leather. Kept the whole kind of appearance of the dash generally the same. Went with a modern sound system. So there's a subwoofer in the back, really good speakers. This is a Stinger system with Bluetooth. put in a high quality backup camera just to kind of give it all the modern features that we've been spoiled with. The thing that I like about this too as well is this is an overdrive 4L80E transmission. And so while you have the look and feel and appearance of that 69 and it's authentic, you actually have a lot of the modern features that make it usable and enjoyable. So this really could be a daily driver, but it'll get up and go. I mean, this is something that's a very competent street racer as well. So that's kind of a look inside what we call the younger brother, the 1969 Camaro SS. So as you can tell, I love cars, and for me, it's a mix of old and new, and particularly I love muscle cars. It's a bit sad to me that we're coming to an end of an era. A lot of these cars are going away. Some have already had the last call, but none of these cars are gonna die in my garage. We're gonna fix them up, we're gonna add power, break them down, rebuild them, buy new ones, give some away. So we're gonna have fun with this, and if you'd like to be a part of that, just hit subscribe, like the content that we put out, and stay tuned because we're going to be providing a lot of cool content. We love to have you along.